Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is Two Back or Not to Back. We're going to be going through a bunch of crowdfunding campaigns, same as usual, same usual story, except this week is a very, very short week. Possibly the shortest Two Back or Not to Back I've ever done. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like I know I only have 4 campaigns to go over, 4 new campaigns, 2 updates, and then of course the picks of the week and the upcoming campaigns, same as usual. Links is everything down below, but with that, let's go ahead and start off as usual with Cult of the Now. Cult of the Now is the segment where we take a look at a currently available game. As much as I love crowdfunding, you're often paying a lot of money for games that are coming 12 to 18 months or more down the road, and often have fewer reviews to vet whether they are a good game for you or not. Whereas you can often get retail games for cheaper now and not having to wait or worry or check out reviews and all that stuff. And to that end, we have Beer and Bread over our miniature market, which looks kind of like they redid their site, by the way. Like this little thing at the top, I don't remember looking that way. Maybe I'm just forgetting, I don't know. But Beer and Bread, a 2-player head-to-head game from Capstone Games where you're managing your resources, trying to build your points, ensuring you don't overflow on your resources to benefit your opponent. A tactical back-and-forth experience with a lot of reviews, and for the low price of $28, you can check out to see if this is a game for you or not. That's going to be Beer and Bread, our Cult of the Now pick. And with that, let's go ahead and start off. Although, as usual, while this series has been going on for over 3 years, this Two Back or Not to Back has been going on for over 3 years. I have been working for Gamefound for the past year, and so please take that into account and any potential biases as we go through the rest of the video, starting off directly with Backer Kit. Now, this is not going to be a full Two Back or Not to Back on Gloomhaven. This is specifically Gloomhaven Grand Festival over on Backer Kit, but this one I'm going to be doing a full Two Back or Not to Back likely in the last 4 to 5 days of the campaign, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But this is just a small update to those of you following the campaign, that in addition to everything else currently available, in addition to the Gloomhaven RPG, in addition to Gloomhaven miniatures, in addition to 2nd edition Gloomhaven, to a reprint of Frosthaven, they've also now added Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs. So you have a new option. For $15, you can get your hands on Buttons and Bugs, and Buttons and Bugs is effectively based off of Gloomhaven. You may have heard of Gloomhaven. Was a print-and-play game that ironically was designed by somebody who hadn't played Gloomhaven, if I'm following that correctly. But Gloomhaven is a print-and-play experience that is basically giving you Gloomhaven in your hand, and they took that to make it a small box Gloomhaven instead. So it's a little bit more than Gloomhaven, which was just a handful of cards, and instead this is a small box Gloomhaven, which gives you that same premise of Gloomhaven, just in a very small box game for $15. I believe an MSRP of $19.99, which means take into account that unfortunately this is only available on its own. It's not bundled up with everything else, which means if you get this in the campaign, there's a decent chance that you're actually paying more for it than it'll cost in retail once you factor in shipping and a $15 price point on a $20 MSRP. Of course, the flip side of that conversation is that you likely will be getting it sooner. You'll be guaranteeing your spot in the queue, and as with anything new from Cephalofair, there's no guarantee what the MSRP will be down the road. Frosthaven, I famously said, I don't know why I'm saying famously, I am not that famously, but I said about Frosthaven that it was not the best back and you can go ahead and get it cheaper at retail. And then they bumped up the MSRP to nearly 2 times the value, so I was wrong with that. I just want to give you the full caveat that while I think that this is something that's better to wait till retail, who knows how the MSRP will actually turn out. But that's going to be Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs. Like I said already, I'll have a full campaign deep dive in the last 4 days of the campaign. $3 million crossed over here, 19,000 backers, 10 days left to go, so doing fairly well over here. That's going to be Gloomhaven Grand Festival over on Backkit. From there, we're going to have another small update, which is Tanares Adventures. This, because unfortunately, normally I would do the update on this next week before 3 days left in the campaign. I've already done a full dedicated to back or not to back, which means, should you back it, I say. A full dedicated should you back it, which means I will not be doing a dedicated video on this, but instead just a small update to the campaign, which is Tanares Adventures Ultimate Edition over here. They've already released a bunch of updates. Make sure to keep your eyes peeled over the next 10 days for anything that I will not have a chance to update you on. But effectively, if you go through the updates, there's a bunch of things that they cover throughout the course of the updates. They actually sum up most of them very nicely in Update 11 over here. But there's a few you can go ahead. Let me see if I scroll through these over here. Let's see if we can kind of point things out. We have $1 million Day 1 thank you. There's stretch goals, there's miniatures, there's sculpts, there's characters from the game. We have new add-ons for standees. Effectively, the standee pledge that they have that I talked about last week, or my Should You Back It, the standee pledge option. They added more content as an optional buy for if you want to get a more fully fleshed out Tanares experience while saving money in the cheaper standee pledge. They give you more content for that. We have foreteller over here. So in Update 7, they have foreteller samples. So if you want to get a sense of what the foreteller narration will be like, they have a sample of both the journal narration as well as the background music. Obviously, there's a samples, things will be tweaked, added. This is not the final version. It's meant to give you an idea of what it is you might be buying into. I highly recommend Foreteller in general. I think they're fantastic, and I think their content really does enhance the experience. And I haven't even really experimented with their background music, and I'm excited to do so because I want to see how that further adds to the experience, even just having that low background pacing music on the, as you play through the experience. So we have Foreteller samples over here. We have an update 8, we have a new stretch goals, Tanares overview, we have Tanares overview over here, we have the player dashboards. This is a big one over here. This is not included in update 11, but over here they have new player dashboards for their players, which can be utilized in a few ways. You can use them as the source of your player, information over here. And I will say, as someone who's played the game quite a bit, this is both good and bad as far as space maximization. This is going to take up more space than if you're just running the pure dashboard and having a hand of cards. Very often, if you've watched my playthroughs, I'm doing a full playthrough of Tanares Adventures, but if you watch my playthroughs, you'll see I have the dashboard, I have the two, the two items to the side, and then all these other 7 cards are simply bundled into a little stack of cards that I sort through as I need. And so if you're looking for pure space optimization, this is still going to be worse than what your all options are if you're really trying to condense space as much as possible. But if you're looking for something that will give you a lot of visibility, the way it shows you the cards, the way it has them stood up in front of you, it'll give you a ton of visibility over your cards while minimally adding to the space. So I think it is overall a very good addition, with the caveat that's not the most efficient space thing possible if your goal is really to minimize space on the table as much as you can. Additionally, they point out that you could run 3 companions. So if you're running a 4-player game, as you have to in Tanares, you can run your main character, and then you can have the 3 comrade characters all in a single dashboard. They all fit nicely there, so you can run that as well. So that's another way you can utilize them all on a single dashboard. Have 2 dashboards as your entire display as you go through it. There's going to be optional buys, or alternatively, they are included in the all-in pledges. So if you're someone who backed the all-in pledges, those are available over there as well. And then that's going to be update 10, and then update 11 is going to give you a very solid, just a comprehensive recap of everything they're doing here. A few things I didn't really showcase as I went through the various expansions, the various updates over here. But you have new pledge level for add-ons only, a recap of all the stuff you're getting from unique hero skills, new attack cards, level 2 legendary improved progression, the dragon quests. We have a Kemet Lord quest, new special attacks, gaining new special attacks for the characters, improved Kemet hunt. Basically, all the feedback I've given about the small aspects of Tanares Adventures that I wish were changed, they're taking into account all of those as well as others. They are, as usual, listening to the feedback from the community, listening to the feedback from reviewers, from the community, from anyone who's playing the game, and trying to say, how can we give you the best possible experience? Even as Tanares Adventures, or Arena of the Contest when I first played it, 3 years ago, I loved it as it was. But they continuously add and iterate and develop that product. They continue to make it the best possible gaming experience, not taking away from the experience that you currently have and are playing, but just adding to and improving and making it even better, so that the next time you dive into it, or the next people who are diving into it for the first time, will always have the best possible experience. But again, I love Tanares as is. It's one of those downsides. I should do a full video on this. I've already done it twice before. I should do it again. The very nature of trying to upgrade and enhance a product, especially in the gaming community, has a double-edged sword, because it makes it better, but at the cost of annoying those who have backed into it, who have paid into it the first time, and feel like they are now beta testers or alpha testers in this cycle. So a double-edged sword, but overall I'm very happy when they do this, and it's not going to stop me from enjoying Tanares as I currently have it. But this gives you a solid update of things going on. Basically, more stuff, more tweaks, more updates, more slow add-ons being added. That's going to be our update on Tanares Adventures. Which brings us to the first new game of the week, and this is going to be Pacific Ocean card game. So now we're into the past updates and into the new campaigns. We have Pacific Ocean the card game, 1,676 backers, 3 days to go. Pacific Ocean, it looks like a 2-player, well actually there's a 1-player mode and a 3-player mode, so I guess a 2-player game with both a solo and an extra player mode added on, but a 2-player game which you're going to be drafting cards for their goals. So you can see the cards have icons on them, they have scoring mechanisms at the bottom. You're going to be going through a bit of a I pick you choose mechanism as you try to figure out who gets what cards, trying to optimize your scoring throughout the course of the game. There's also a solo mode you can dive into, a tropical fish expansion, so you can play it 1 player or 3 players as well if you want to go through that. You can check out a bunch of video content on the game, on the expansion, the solo mode, all of those as you go through this campaign. And as far as the pledge levels in this, the pledge levels are going to be around $20, I believe Canadian, so around $16 to get your hands on the game with all the stuff over there. That's going to be that, and you can get double copies or more copies for 31 or whatnot. That's going to be the pledge levels over here. There's a few other options for print and plays. I'm just focusing on the core pledge level is going to be $16 for the game plus shipping. As far as should you back it, should you not, this is going to fall into kind of standard button shy territory, which is you likely will not get any money back on this if you are selling it, but it's likely your cheapest option to get your hands in it if you are someone who's interested in this game. It does look to be a little on the lighter side. I'm not entirely sure where it will land, but it looks like it's going to be the I cut you choose mechanism might be part of the more appealing aspect of it, as you force players to band into which camp they're going to choose as they try to optimize their scoring. That's going to be Pacific Ocean the card game on Kickstarter, 3 days left to go. From there, we have 3 Gamefound campaigns to go over. We have Coloma New Prospects Expansion and Reprint, $158,000 raised, 1,700 backers, 9 days left to go. This is the reprint and expansion to Coloma. bringing you Coloma, the deluxified edition of Coloma back. For those who've missed it, Coloma's available, you can get it in retail and all that stuff, but the deluxe version of the game has a lot more premium components and add-ons and other, not gameplay changes, or at least not a lot that I know of, but a lot of component upgrades in the deluxe version of the game. And they're also bringing you back New Prospects, which is the expansion of the game, but they're also bringing you A Fistful of Meeples, which was the kind of standalone, small little Mancala style game that they had last time, and they have an expansion to that as well as a full big box to put everything in. So there's a lot of options over here on this campaign. I have full video coverage on this. You can check that out, as does, you know, Tom Vassell or a million players. I mean, if you're looking for coverage of Coloma itself, there's a ton of content out there because this game has existed for a while. And if you're looking for content on the expansion, New Prospects, bunch of videos you can check out, mine, others as well, you can go into it. But New Prospects is basically tweaking out the many aspects of the game. It's giving you a little bit more accessibility on the frontier map as far as being able to place down your tents, giving it a lot more reason to focus on that. It gives you more focus on the actual shootouts in the game, so you're going to have more incentive, more points being given to you as you go to the shootouts, which gives you more of an incentive to dive into that as well, and also rewards you for being further up the track as well. So again, good things on that end as well. It's going to give you more balance around busting in the game, a full track, these waterfall boards that go around your main board that give you a full busting track combined with entirely new decks of cards that are going to give you a tweaked player experience that focuses on giving you almost an incentive to bust, or at least better compensation when you bust in the game. The whole game relies around the central wheel where you're choosing an action, but the action that has the most energy and attention is going to only get half the action and the rest of the action busts. But you have all these cards that can get more powerful, you have this waterfall track that's getting more powerful, you have these waterfalls you're slotting into the track to get more bonuses, and so you're managing and mitigating around so many additional aspects in this game compared to what the base game did. So this game takes the base game of Coloma and just fleshes out and rounds out so many aspects of it while giving you more modular experience to it. Not really modular experience, but more of a changed up experience, and then the components to support it, like the magnetic barco wheel. I'll go over this. This is a tweaked barco wheel from the base game. That's basically what's going on in Coloma Outlaws, and then some expansion components, or, you know, extra meeples for the characters, because you start with more meeples in the game, extra meeples for the Outlaws, things like that. We have a deluxe upgrade pack for those of you who want to get all the upgraded components but bought the game at retail. If you want to get your hands on that, they have that as well. And then from there, what else do we have over here? We have a New Prospects, MSRP savings, help make the game a reality, exclusives, lots of content will not be available through normal distribution, and this is a big factor. If you want the regular retail versions of the game, you're fine, but if you want all the extra and exclusives, that stuff is, well, only available in limited quantities or on Gamefound. We have the deluxe upgrade pack over here. So pledge levels, we have $29 for Coloma New Prospects if you just want that. We have $79 for Coloma Deluxe Edition if you want the full Coloma Retail Edition plus the deluxe upgrade pack. We have $108 for the Pioneer Pledge, which gives you all of those combined in case you are new but want kind of all of that there. We have the Motherload, which is $159, an additional $41 on top of that pledge. That's giving you Fistful of Meeples, plus the Fistful of Meeples expansion, plus the Coloma Big Box as well, on top of everything else there. So it's going to give you savings on all of that if you get all of that combined. And then we have free promo cards, we have the stretch goals, we have new barrel actions being added, the linen finish, the new shootout tile, the UV on the boxes, waterfall tiles, new barrels over here, the hoedown module, the 115,000, the boomtown tiles. These are the tiles that will go onto the corner of the map that are going to give you more easier ability to put tents out late game. We have new bridges over here, new shootout tile, more waterfalls, these new barrels, which are going to help you bust as well, so it's going to be a little bit of a management around busting, and then another hoedown module, 6 hoedown cards that are going to again give you more management around busting. You can see over here you can discard used barrels to further move up on the busting tracks as you go through it. That's going to be everything going on as far as Coloma. And then we have a Fistful of Meeples over here, which is a little Mancala style game of wandering around the town and activating the various houses, and we have that's going to be the expansion over here. A few meeples more gives you 5 different modules you can integrate into your base game experience, mixing and match how you want. We have new Mavericks, which are wild meeples that count as all types. We have Skip the Dog, that forces you to skip a location. We have the Ghostly Madame that's back, and it's going to scare meeples out of their buildings. We have the few of the larger meeples that are going to have various abilities, as well as these little facades that are going to go on top of the various buildings, giving you new endgame scoring opportunities. That's going to be a modular-based expansion to A Fistful of Meeples that gives you a few different ways to interact with the experience. And that is basically everything going on in Coloma New Prospects expansion and reprint. So we have a lot of stretch goals, we have a lot of various pledge levels you can get your hands on, tons of stuff over here, both for someone who's diving into Coloma for the first time, or someone who's diving into Coloma as a fan of Coloma who wants to get the new stuff. You have a variety of pledges at your disposal over here. That's going to be Coloma New Prospects expansion and reprint over on Gamefound. From then we're going to dive into Tales of Evil. Tales of Evil Final Chapter, Escape Studios Games, €20,000 raised so far, 303 backers. Tales of Evil is a kind of a bundle of new content for their previous games. So they have 2 games over here. They have Boogie, and I think they have a 3rd one coming up as well. But effectively, we have the Tales of Evil expansion, which is going to give you an expansion to Tales of Evil, which is a very Mansions of Madness style gameplay where you're wandering around these buildings. You have a lot of narrative text. You're gonna have some degree of gameplay and fighting down monsters. That's going to be Tales of Evil, and this brings you an expansion to that. And then we have an expansion to Boogeyman as well, which is more of a trying to escape. You're basically children trapped in a house trying to escape the babysitter who's gone some sort of vengeful strike, but also there's a boogeyman as well, and you're trying to manage that as you go through it. Both games have a lot of ratings. You can check them out. They have both these games. If you check the ratings on BGG for both these games, they have both critiques as well as fans. So the ratings are more in the high 6s as far as the ratings, so take that into account. Check to see if the games are right for you. There's plenty of content around these games to see if they're right for you, and then see if these expansions as well. That's going to be basically what we have here. We also have a small little additional thing, which is the Maniac Winter 2023. We have 5 exclusive cards for the Maniac, an upcoming new game as well. So 2 expansions for previous games, as well as a new content for an upcoming game is going to be what happens in this Tales of Evil final chapter campaign over on Gamefound. Which brings us to the rewards tier over here, which is a bunch of rewards options. We have the final chapter for €59. We have the new adventures plus 2 new comic endings for Boogeyman over here. We have Tales of Evil, the original base game. We have Boogeyman, the original base game. We have the Mix and Match, Boogeyman exclusive edition, English version only for USA and Canada over here. And then over here, if we scroll down to the various add-ons, we have Tales of Evil. Again, you can just go through this here, pick out what specific add-on works for you. But again, these are 2 game systems. You can check the reviews on them. Like I said already, there's mixed. There are people who very much enjoy both of these, and there are people who are more on the fence, either with the rules or focused on, I think, like Tales of Evil is to a certain extent possibly too much narrative and not enough agency, and Boogeyman has some potential balance issues. Just look at the reviews, see if it's a game for you in both cases or not. Again, they both have fans, but also have people who they didn't work for them as much. I will say that I do highly recommend, if you have the opportunity here, let me see if I can scroll down. Boogeyman over here? No, it's going to be down by videos. Over here, both these trailers over here I thought were very well done, both videos, but in particular the Boogeyman board game video, I think it's incredibly well done. I remember watching this when they had this on Kickstarter a year or 2 ago. I really enjoyed it then, and I still really enjoy it. I think it's a very tense, very solid atmospheric aspect to this trailer. Highly recommend watching this one if you're in any way remotely interested in Boogeyman. And then lastly, we have Planet Unknown over here. Planet Unknown from Adam's Apple Games over here. Planet Unknown is going to be bringing you a reprint to Planet Unknown, as well as the Supermoon expansion, bringing you a few new aspects to your Planet Unknown experience. 4,800 backers, $426,000 raised, 18 days left to go. Planet Unknown is basically, it's an incredibly well-loved game that's gotten a lot of buzz, that accommodates up to 6 players with simultaneous play as you go through the experience. So just a well-liked game that, again, lots of buzz, lots of ratings, lots of opinions. I very much enjoy the game, have it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I was looking forward to the game for like 2 years before it landed. Finally landed, and sure enough, it's been an absolute hit. Very much enjoyed this one. It's simple, it's easy, it's variable. It plays up to 6 players. It plays almost as well 2 players. I think 3 to 6 plays exactly as well. 2 players has some small aspects that change up, and then I haven't really played it solo yet, so I can't comment on that. But I'd say that it works well, incredibly well, 2 to 6 players, and I can't comment on the solo play myself. But overall, it's just an accessible, strong, good experience, and they are both giving you some quality of life additions to this campaign. So, for example, they're going to have a cover for the Lazy Susan, which makes it so you can actually, not worry about turning the game on its side and everything dropping, or traveling with the game and everything falling apart. So that's a quality of life upgrade, as well as additionally they're bringing you the Supermoon expansion as well. So here you can see over here we got the Controller Chaos, the Game Trays Organizers. We have the pledge levels, $130 if you want both the base game and the Supermoon expansion. We have $30 just for the Supermoon expansion, and then we have limited edition, deluxe edition over here, $100 for the Planet Unknown reprint over there. And then we have, what do we have over here? We have the neoprene player mats. This is a big deal over here. $55 for getting new neoprene mats for all of the planets over here. They will fit in the box, but they will fit in the box with a degree of lid lift. Take that into account. This is one of those times where I actually do want the neoprene mats. I like neoprene when it fits in the box, and that's my main thing. I just have to decide whether I care about the lid lift or not, but definitely interested in those. We have plastic bits if you want more plastic bits. Maybe you got the retail edition of the game. Alternatively, we also have wooden bits if you want. Maybe you got someone who did back to the deluxe version of the game, and you actually prefer those wooden bits, especially if you got it all sun dropped and stuff like that, so your bits are a little washed and dirty looking. You might prefer any of these options over here, so they have both those for you. And then we have some hobby retail edition content upgrade for if you got the retail edition, and then we also have a Spanish edition over here. So that's what we have as far as the various pledge levels. We have a little video on the Supermoon edition. This is mostly going over the components less so than the gameplay, but as far as the aspects here, you're gonna have a side little planet, you're gonna have an actual Supermoon planet, as well as a little mini satellite that's orbiting the planet, which gives you a different way of dealing with the meteorites that are going to show up on your little mini moon Supermoon. You have these Supermoon boards as well that are going to be these giant modular planets that you combine them in different ways. So you, I mean, I guess the Neophene won't really work here, although I guess you could still technically have Neophene. I don't know what their plans are for that. But either way, it's going to be a quadrant planet, so it's modular front and back, giving you different combinations of how you could actually make this planet, well, show up because of the nature of the modular aspect to it, which to me instinctively feels a little more gimmicky. I don't know if the planet would feel that different. It feels like it's just, you know, a small tweak. I don't know. I think this is more of a gimmick than anything else, but I'm saying that without actually having played it, so I don't know for sure. Similarly, they have a modular corporation. Same kind of idea over here, and again, same instinct here. I could see this being more impactful. The nature of even just the research tracks means maybe it's more impactful. I don't know. I'm torn whether this is a good extra degree of variety or a little more gimmicky, but they also have more stuff in terms of more milestone cards, event cards, all these things, terrain patches, all these extras being added. So the Supermoon expansion is a small box expansion that's going to give you different ways to add to your gameplay in some way or another. I have not played it. I cannot comment on whether it enhances the experience for me in any way because I haven't played it, but I can tell you that I think Planet Unknown itself is an excellent game that you should definitely have on your radar. Whether or not you get it here is a different conversation, but you should definitely have it on your radar. And you can try it in Sovereignty as well if you want to. You can try it in Sovereignty. They've made sure it's free for the, I think it's free for the entire campaign if not mistaken. Sovereignty is normally a paid platform. They have rotating free games, but I think they specifically have Planet Unknown free throughout the course of this campaign. That was their first stretch goal, and I believe also their only stretch goal. They don't seem to be having a lot of stretch goals, at least as of not right now. Yeah, free on Sovereignty, July 2023. So that seems like throughout the course of the campaign, basically. But that's everything we have over here. That's going to be Planet Unknown. All the details over there as far as what's being added, or at least what we know so far, and we'll see what else is unlocked across the course of the campaign. I will have another 2-back or not to back before this campaign ends, so we will be able to talk about it again. And with that, that's basically what we have. Like I said already, a short week. We have 2 updates, 4 campaigns, which also means as far as picks of the week go, picks of the week, usually I pick two campaigns. I pick the game that is my personal interest pick of the week, the game that I'm the most personally interested in, as well as the game that I think is most likely to hold its value. Holding its value, I try to clarify this, sometimes I don't always say it, but the value pick of the week does not mean the game that is the best bang for your buck in terms of cost versus what you get for it. It means the game that I think if you do want that game, then getting it now is the best opportunity because the secondhand market and or retail will just not be quite as good. So it's not about best bang for your buck, not at all. It's about that if you want this, that this is the best place or best time to get your hands on it. And to that end, usually I specifically try not to pick the same game for those for my picks of the week. Even if they are the same, even if my value pick does align with my personal interest pick, I usually try to just note it and then still pick something else. But because we only have 4 campaigns, I am actually going to pick the same game this time, and that's going to be Planet Unknown. Planet Unknown is definitely my personal interest pick of the week. I think the game's excellent, accessible, a strong game. I think that the Supermoon expansion I'm intrigued by. I'm not totally sold on it, but I think overall it's still my pick of the week. And as far as my value pick of the week, I think it's like almost certainly the one that is most likely to hold its value. Coloma is close. The deluxe edition of Coloma does do overall pretty fine in the secondhand market, but I still think Planet Unknown is a safer back all told there. And with only 4 campaigns this week, I don't mind picking just one, which I usually try to avoid. And that's everything as far as that, which means for upcoming campaigns next week, we actually have a bunch, but as usual, I'm going to focus on 2. We have Sword and Sorcery, Abyssal Legends over here, the possible final expansion, the mind-bending climax to the Ancient Chronicles and Immortal Souls campaigns. That's going to be Abyssal Legends over here, launching on Kickstarter from Ares Games, 3,000 followers, and the continuation of the Sword and Sorcery series. And then we have Mordred from Command Games, a very last-minute game. Like, this feels like they announced it, and then they immediately had a date for you. It was very quick over here, but this is Mordred from Command Games, an area control game that I actually highly recommend. They did a full live stream talking about it, which they usually do, as well as a 3-minute trailer if you want to dive into that, if you want to see a bit more about what the game is like. But overall, I'd say that, as usual, I mean, the art over here, the art's actually not pulling me in quite as much. I mean, the miniatures and art of the game more so. The cover art's not really pulling me in, but I am very intrigued from what I've seen of the game so far. But we'll see. There's going to be more different Command Games. It's area control. I'm almost certainly going to back it, but that's going to be launching on Kickstarter next week. And that's everything. Like I said already, a very short 2-back and not to back. Just not a lot of stuff going on this week, and we'll be back next week with a. I'll tell you. Next week's going to be the top most funded campaigns of 2022, which is a little late for that, but I never actually did one of those videos. So we're going to go over the top 15 most funded campaigns of 2022, and then the week after that, we should be back with a 2-back or not to back. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Thanks so much for being here, and as always, I hope you have a good one. Where do Sith Lords shop? At the mall. Everything is half off.